Lost series finale! Let's debrief this. So what just happened? That's a good question. So the two storylines are converging until we get to Jack's death on the island, and that is when, in the 2004 timeline, he experiences his moment of full clarity and he realizes everything that happened and he realizes that he is dead. Now, there are already two distinct camps that are forming. The first theory, and the one that I thought was true at first after immediately finishing the episode, was, oh my gosh, they all died upon impact and the island is some type of purgatory in order to get to the next life, which is heaven, the afterlife, whatever you believe. Jimmy Kimmel asked in Jimmy Kimmel Live if it was Jack's test. Maybe that's what the whole series is about, that this is Jack's test through purgatory to see if he is morally capable of going to heaven. There is some validity to that theory because in season 4, after the Oceanic Six have all arrived, Hurley tells Jack that they're all dead anyway, and then Jack says Hurley, you're crazy. I just think that saying that the whole thing was a figment of Jack's imagination before he died after the initial impact is kind of cheapening the relationships that were formed on the island. On the same level, I think it kind of cheapens the message of the whole series in general, or at least what I took, and that is that life is crazy, and life is a test, and life is unexplainable, and sometimes it's hard, but you have to fight through that and learn to be selfless in order to go on to the next stage after death. But I am of the camp that everything on the island actually happened for real. You have the island, which is real life. Then you have the perfect world where everyone who has died resides. And that is purgatory. And then the church and what lies beyond the church is heaven, the great beyond, afterlife, reincarnated next life. Jack's dad said in the church when Jack experiences his moment of clarity that the people inside the church are some of the most important people in Jack's lifetime. He said the word lifetime, so that means that it has to be real. These people aren't living in like our world. I mean, granted, it is the Earth, but it's not. The island is something completely separate and magical. The island doesn't necessarily have to be like 100% like legitimately real in our sense of the word. Like, so there's polar bears and smoke monsters and time travel. Like, there's other series that are way more incorporated with science fiction, and people don't question the validity of the life that these characters are living. It's just part of the mythology that is lost, I feel. If they all died upon impact, then why are only certain people in the church? Because they theoretically only ever met for a few hours. If the island really happened, that explains why certain people are in the church and certain people aren't. Like Walt and Michael aren't, because they were able to move on after their death because they weren't as invested in the island as the other characters. And the same goes for Ben Linus. Everyone always felt like he was disconnected with the group, like he was one step ahead of everyone else and kind of evil. Aside from the whole did they die upon impact, did they not die upon impact thing, there are a lot of things that I want to continue discussion with you guys. Post it in the comments. I really want to have an awesome discussion going on in those comments. Yeah. things having to do with symbolism, mythology, philosophy. The series just ended last night, and there hasn't really been a lot of time for me to go back and reflect upon individual symbols as opposed to the series as a whole, such as the symbolism of Jack passing on the role of the island guard to Hurley, the idea that the series is an allegory for Christian theology. Sure, there were a lot of questions that were left unanswered, and they're probably going to be answered in the DVD Blu-ray edition of the season 6 when it comes out, or of the whole series. But again, I think that it's kind of symbolic, like a lot of questions that you have in your lifetime aren't answered. Like sometimes you don't really understand what the smoke monsters or polar bears or numbers in your lifetime are, you know? There are those unexplained things. Ultimately, I think that it's okay that those questions were answered, because Lost isn't a show about people telling you what is going to happen. It's about you yourself finding out the answers. And I think that having all of those questions answered would be counterintuitive to the whole series. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.